What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you're excited. Today is Monday, September 5th, 2022, and the Dallas Cowboys have a brand new player. We are live on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. We have a few people telling me that I was late. Look, I had to walk the dog, all right? It's fall-ish, kind of fall, still summery fall. I don't know what we qualify this time of year as. I call it fall. The decorations in my house say fall, and so it's going to be raining later. Had to take the dog for a walk now, but we are here. We are live. Do not fret, on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel to talk about the newest member of the Dallas Cowboys, Jason Peters. That's right. Jason Peters, longtime Philadelphia Eagles left tackle, is now playing for the good guys. The Dallas Cowboys, predictably, some would say, signed Jason Peters early Monday morning. He practiced with the team. He met with the local media as a member of the Cowboys. We still actually don't have any contract details. Going to make sure we keep you updated, as we always do here on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel when we are live. But it will be very interesting to see the money associated with this particular move. Daryl Mason, thanks for joining us, says, awesome move. Jaime says, sup, y'all? What's up, Jaime? How you doing? I don't know where to start other than to say this absolutely had to happen. All right. Jason Peters had to happen, by the way. Photos of him practicing surfaced, looked awesome, looked just like a monster of a human being. This photo was making the rounds. Very strange to see DeMarco. I was going to say it gives me DeMarco Murray vibes, obviously, when DeMarco Murray, of course, signed with the Philadelphia Eagles now 7 years ago. Can't believe how long ago that was. But it felt like that. It's very strange to see Peters wearing, again, the colors of the good guys, colors of the right team, colors of the best team. But it is, something that we're all obviously excited about. Tay Marshall says, I'm stoked. Now we need one more decent swing. I definitely want to touch on this. In fact, let's get to it now. Let's give the Cowboys their flowers. We're going to be here for a little bit. Going to be live on the YouTube channel. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe. Those things really help us out. We're going to be having all sorts of content coming out. We've had a lot of content, but it's the regular season. The Dallas Cowboys play a game of significance on Sunday night. I'm so pumped. You're so pumped. Cannot wait. We'll be here, of course, afterwards for the live show. And so we're going to talk about, how much credit the Cowboys deserve. But all of this is for naught if they do not learn the lesson that Tay is saying here on the comment section, right? The Cowboys are in this mess because they did not take the swing tackle position seriously for the course of literally the entire offseason. All right, now we were here on our YouTube channel at Blogging the Boys and the podcast network and our articles on social. Every Cowboys fan basically on both sides of the Mississippi has been saying how the Dallas Cowboys have to improve the swing tackle position. The Cowboys ignored that. The Cowboys said, we're going to charge forward with second-year Josh Ball. We're going to spin the Amari pick that we get on Matt Waletzko. Bada bing, bada boom. We're done. Call it a day. Let's turn on the Netflix because our homework is done. No, that was such a mistake, and that was highlighted weeks before the regular season even started. In fact, it wasn't even 2 weeks ago when the Tyron Smith injury happened. And the fact that nobody has, we've all sat here and said, well, okay, Cowboys should do this. They should have Tyler Smith play left tackle. They should move Zach Martin to left tackle. Right? We've thrown out all these ideas and hypotheticals. The fact that nobody has at any point in time suggested Josh Ball or Matt Waletzko play left tackle proves how poorly the Dallas Cowboys handled the swing tackle position. So awesome. Jason Peters is here. Bet. I'm pumped. You're pumped. But what happens if he gets hurt? What happens if Terrence Steele gets hurt? You still do not have a swing tackle plan. It seems like Tyler Smith is going to be the starting plan as far as the initial starters are concerned this week against the Buccaneers and maybe next Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals. Jason Peters said that it will likely take a couple of weeks for him to be ready. I don't know. If you had signed him 2 weeks ago when Tyron Smith was hurt, maybe he'd be ready right now. But I do think that this is important. I think that we have to acknowledge how difficult the first two games of the season are for the Cowboys. And this was the case a year ago. All right, last year, the Cowboys went to Tampa to start the season, obviously played very well, then went to LA, other side of the country, barely squeaked out a win, got to 1-1. That was awesome. Shout out to Greg Zuerlein. Always a super reliable kicker for the Cowboys, clearly. But the Cowboys' first 6 games, this is what I want to take a look at. Bucks on Sunday night, Bengals next week. Personally, my own personal read, I don't think Jason Peters is playing on either of those games. And that's tough. Those are two very good teams. You're talking about the team that won the Super Bowl 2 years ago and the team that lost it last year. But after that, it softens up nicely. All right. 3 weeks from today, actually, week 3, the Cowboys are on Monday Night Football playing the New York Giants. That to me seems like when we could see Jason Peters make his debut. I don't know. That's just like my own kind of reading into it, but that's 3 weeks from today. It's a road game. It's a Monday, so you get a little bit of a longer time off in between things. That to me seems like the target, but maybe it's the following Sunday at home against the Commanders. After that, the Cowboys go to LA to play the Rams. I would imagine that Jason Peters would be ready to roll by then. At that point, you're a month into the regular season. And then, of course, week 6, the Cowboys visit Philadelphia and the Eagles, Jason Peters' his old team. That game, by the way, on Sunday Night Football. So Dallas taking a longtime Eagle to Philadelphia on primetime. It will be a lot of fun. Samuel Rose says, Will Fuller next? I don't think so. In fact, Kellen Moore, Dallas Cowboys offensive coordinator, took the podium on Monday, said they see Kevontae Turpin as a wide receiver. I'm pumped about that. Don't get me wrong. I am excited to see Kevontae Turpin, whether he's wearing number 9 or number 16, because he's apparently undecided. I'm excited to see him involved in the offense. But I think that kind of I'm in no way saying that I don't think the Cowboys need to add a receiver, but we kind of have no idea what this offense is going to be, right? Like, we haven't seen this offense at all. That's part of why I think we're all so excited, beyond the obvious of football returning, but why we're so excited for Sunday. Sunday's going to bring some actual clarity. Sunday's going to bring some actual answers as far as this offense is concerned. What does Dak look like? What does Zeke look like? What does the starting offensive line look like? What does Tyler Smith look like at left tackle? What does CeeDee Lamb look like in this year? What does the Amari Cooper-less offense look like? What does wide receiver 2 look like? What does Jalen Tolbert look like? What does Dalton Schultz look like? We haven't seen really any of these things outside of, the training camp portions of things. But so it is going to be a very interesting sort of exercise on Sunday to learn a lot about the team that's going to be playing all these games. Donnie says, I still have Dallas winning by 4-7 against Tampa, but ultimately it will be dictated by which offensive line holds up better. Yes, Captain Obvious, I know. For what it's worth, our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook have the Dallas Cowboys as 1.5-point underdogs. So Donnie, very confident in that. Watsamata says they won't pick up another offensive tackle. They will apply their efforts towards developing ball and Waletzko. I agree with this. If Sears goes down, they will get another retired vet like Eric Fisher. The only part that I disagree with Watsamata here is in Watsamata's comment. I actually think if we play this out, right? If we let me get this comment if we play this out now that Jason Peters is in the fold, to be very clear here, the best, most practical offensive line the Cowboys can field, left to right, is Jason Peters, Tyler Smith, Tyler Biadasz, Zach Martin, Terrence Steele. We all agree with that. That's the best, most practical. I think the best, if you're being honest with yourself, is probably same thing from left tackle to center, but probably Connor McGovern at right guard and Zach Martin at right tackle. That's probably the best. To some people, the more I say it out loud, the more I talk about it, the more I still trust Zach Martin. I mean, not that I don't trust, but I mean, Zach Martin, keep him there. I trust Terrence Steele at right tackle a little bit more than I trust Connor McGovern anywhere, honestly. But to get back to the point, I disagree with Watsamata that if Steele or Peters go down, the Cowboys will get somebody. If Steele or Peters go down, I think the Cowboys are going to revert to what they're going to do this week. We're likely going to see a line on Sunday night against Tampa that is Tyler Smith, Connor McGovern, Biadasz, Martin, and Steele. I think they will revert to that, especially, and look, we're all hoping that Tyler Smith plays incredibly well, right? Like, there's nobody here, there's no Cowboys fan who wants to see that not be the case. And I don't care if it's the case. I don't care if Tyler Smith is the best left tackle we have ever seen on Sunday night. When Jason Peters is ready, whatever week that is, that's your left tackle as far as I'm concerned. We do not need to take a 1 or 2 game sample size of Tyler Smith dominating a left tackle hypothetically and say, you know what, let Peters sit on the bench. No, as soon as Jason Peters is ready, he's your starting left tackle as far as I'm concerned. But my point here is, if he plays moderately well, Tyler Smith, back to Watts' modest point, I think if Steele or Peters go down, I think the Cowboys say, hey, we'll move Tyler Smith. He's learning, right? He's learning the NFL game. I don't think the Cowboys are going to pursue another veteran. I think they got off the proverbial couch like Sharif from Survivor to go get Jason Peters, and they feel like they've accomplished something significant. I don't think they'll do that another time. DeLunatic says, share, like and sub it up, Cowboys Nation. If you have not liked the video or subscribed to the channel, my feelings are hurt, but thank you very much to Lunatic. Caleb Swanson, loving all the comments, says Tyler Smith is now going to be learning and getting vet experience from Zach Martin, Peters, and Smith now. Caleb's talking about Tyron Smith, to be clear. That to me is easily the biggest plus side to this. Last week, when it was rumored that the Cowboys, or not rumored, when they were going to be hosting Peters for a visit, I wrote about 5 reasons why this made sense. And there were a lot of football ones, but this is one of them. Tyler Smith is your future. Tyler Smith is your baby. You have to nurture him and grow him and develop him and take precious care of him. And you know what's not that? Putting him at left tackle in his first NFL experience ever on Sunday Night Football for the whole world to pick him apart. This is taking care of him. Totally agree with Caleb. Great point. Let's see here. The Lunatic says we're riding 12 personnel on offense and interior D-line pressure on Sunday night. Dallas 21, Tampa 17. I like it. Let's see here. Let's move on. Watsamata says my primary point we were agreed on. They have no intention of improving it. I agree with you. At offensive tackle 3, the Cowboys feel complacent is not the right word, but I do think the Cowboys feel like they achieved something. And I think that there's a sector of the fan base who feels like the Cowboys accomplished something. And to be fair, the Cowboys did accomplish something. This is the best move that the Cowboys could have made from the position that they are in. And if you watch any of our videos, if you listen to me, if you follow me on any level of social media, I've been up in my Instagram game, no big deal. All right. If you agree, I mean, I think we're all in agreement here. This was a really crappy situation. The Cowboys made an awful bet. They made an awful bet that they had no business making. It wasn't like, I say this all the time. I'm not some genius. No offense to any of you. We're not geniuses. We're not capable of running an NFL team. But all this was obvious. It was silly to bet on Tyron Smith's help. It was silly to bet on a second-year player who had no NFL experience. It was silly to bet on a rookie Matt Waletzko with the shoulder injury that he had in college. All of those things individually were silly. To lump them under one umbrella was just a gross level of negligence. It was an incredibly irresponsible sequence of events that the Dallas Cowboys followed. And to their credit, they did buy themselves some help in the 11th hour, but it didn't have to be this way. You didn't have to get all the way to this point. You could have handled things a lot more responsibly. And, it's not just like, hey, you would have saved us some stress. You would have had more options. You would have been able to do more things. You would have maybe had more and better talent in place. You would have had the opportunity for said talent to work with you so that you didn't have to throw Tyler Smith out there on Sunday night against the Bucs. But it's almost like the Cowboys like doing it this way. It's almost like the Cowboys actually wanted to wait to this point so that they could justify playing Tyler Smith at left tackle. Because here's the thing. If we rewind 2 weeks, all right, it wasn't quite 2 weeks ago, but if we rewind to the Thursday morning where the world was on fire, where our pets' heads were falling off, where First Take was at the Star in Frisco, if the Cowboys had signed Jason Peters then, that would have been over 2 weeks before the season opener, right? And I think we all agree here. I mean, we'll see how long Peters takes to get to a place where he's NFL ready. But if they had signed him then, in all likelihood, he would have been available on Sunday night against Tampa, or at least he would have been much closer to being ready to be available on Sunday night against Tampa. Why wait, right? Like what was accomplished by waiting between whatever day that was, middle of August and today? What was accomplished? Nothing. But you know what? Right now, there's a lot of people fairly, I think, who are saying, well, you can't play Peters on Sunday night against the Bucs. He hasn't really practiced. He's got to acclimate. He's got to whatever. So yeah, you got to start Tyler Smith. The Cowboys wanted to play Tyler Smith at left tackle. They want to do that. They want to prove themselves right. They want the flowers for finding the future left tackle. And the only way to justify playing Tyler Smith over Jason Peters would be if Jason Peters was not ready, which is maybe why it took this long. And maybe it's possible, certainly in the world of infinite possibilities, that it took this long to negotiate. We still don't know the financial details of this contract. But, I mean, why wait this long? I mean, if it was going to happen, why wait this long? Watsamata, thank you for the super chat, says $5 for spreading the Cowboy love. Note, Dak might not admit it, but our boy is sleeping better now. That's right. Dak Prescott sponsored by Sleep Number, people. Don't forget, he's also sponsored by DirecTV. That was what led to our interview that we had with him a few weeks ago. So, good for Dak Prescott. I don't know what his sleep number is. I've asked Michael Gallup what his is. You can go back in our channel and find that interview. Thank you for the super chat, Watsamata. I think something else within this, to Watsamata's point, there are some things that nobody's going to admit right now, right? And I think one of them has to do with Tyron Smith. A question that is floating around right now, because this is a good day. I don't want to distract from this. I don't want to be negative. I don't want to just, look, my fantasy football league of record, our draft is tonight. I'm pumped. Today is a very good day. But a question that's been floating around today, and this is a fair question, like I'm saying, is, well, what do we do when Tyron Smith is back, right? Like, what happens then? Do you move Jason Peters to the right side? Is he your swing tackle? What do you do when Jason Peters is back? if we're honest with ourselves, to Watsamata's point about things we're not going to admit. And I think we're all willing to admit this, but maybe the Cowboys aren't. At least they're not publicly, and they probably shouldn't if they don't want to. But I think the fact that the Cowboys went this route, went Jason Peters, an established name. Jason Peters is not playing at the age of 40 to be some team swing tackle, right? We all know that. We're all, hip enough to understand that. This to me is the Cowboys' biggest indication that they recognize that Tyron Smith probably isn't playing this year. Right. I know what they've said publicly. I know that they are reportedly acting under the presumption that he's going to return in December. But if we follow the timeline, the initial reported return date for Tyron Smith was December at best. That night, that Wednesday night at midnight, he's out till December at best. Okay. Jerry Jones goes on First Take. He'll be back for the playoffs, right? He's going to be back for the playoffs. Don't worry. Then that evolves to he'll be back for the meat of the season. Okay, so we've now gone from December to the playoffs to the meat of the season, however vague and ambiguous that is, to Jerry Jones's most recent comments about this on 105 to the Fan, where, that he would likely be returning this season. The Cowboys have slowly been coming back, coming off that take, right? That Tyron Smith is going to be back this season. And if they were really, truly, totally, absolutely unequivocally banking on Tyron Smith returning this season, that would have been irresponsible, to be fair. They wouldn't have signed Jason Peters. That would not be the route they would go. This is a permanent Band-Aid, right? This is actually, I think the more appropriate solution is this is a wound that the Cowboys have. And another would be kind of just generic tackle option would have been an actual Band-Aid. This is a stitch, right? You get stitches, right? This is a stitch. This is a suture. This is like I'm talking like they're sewing your skin together. I didn't expect to get this graphic, but this is a much more permanent temporary solution. The long-term solution is obviously Tyler Smith, but there's a level of permanence to this decision this season at least. And I think if we're honest with ourselves, and we being the Cowboys here, I think we're all willing to admit that Tyron Smith probably isn't coming back this season. So some more of your comments. The Lunatic says Clark has not been put on season-ending IR. He will stay on the practice squad all year. So if recovered, he could be moved to 53. Talking about Damone Clark here. Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys have similarly said it's possible he could. The moment they drafted him, they said he could return this season. That is still technically possible. Ethan says today is a very good day. Agreed. The Lunatic says shout out to the Cowboys YouTube family. We have been mentioning Jason Peters as an option since we saw Josh Ball in training camp. That's right. Big shout out all of Cowboys YouTube land. This was an obvious thing that had to happen. Andy, what's up? Andy says, with all the uncertainty of the offensive line, what do you think the game plan will be? Will it be more run game or quick swing passes, bootleg passes? Here's the thing, Andy. The NFL learned about halfway through last season. Like we all saw the offense kind of crater and implode and not be able to sustain itself as well as an entire offense throughout the second half of last season. And a big reason for that is teams stopped blitzing Dak Prescott. Right? I mean, it would be awesome. Blitz Dak all day. I would love to see that. I don't care who his offensive line is. Dak Prescott is elite enough that he'll kill you. Dak Prescott is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't care what anybody says. And if you're going to blitz him, great, go for it. I'm super down with that. But teams backed off. And so I think the teams are aware of that. And I think that if I'm, Todd Bowles, I mean, you don't have, like, especially now, you definitely don't have to blitz. You can theoretically get home, right? You can get home with four people, 4 rushers at this Cowboys offensive line. I mean, and so I think that's, if I'm Tampa, that's my game plan. I mean, at least to start, right? I'm going to test Tyler Smith. Without testing him, because I do not want to test Dak Prescott. If I'm Todd Bowles, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I know that I will lose against Dak Prescott. I don't know that I'll lose against Tyler Smith. So that's the bet I'm making at first. As far as how the Cowboys counter that, I think it is quick passes. I think you're hoping that you get blitzed and you've got to get that ball out quickly. You've obviously got to trust your timing with CeeDee Lamb and your other receivers, which is obviously where it would have been nice to have Michael Gallup. But that's why this could be like this. Dalton Schultz could have like 12 catches on Sunday night. I mean, it could be that type of game, just like quick dump offs. And hopefully Tony Pollard's involved in that. Hopefully it's this short game stuff. Yeah, and that kind of goes back to we haven't seen it, right? Like we haven't seen this offense as a whole throughout the entire preseason training camp, even, cross practice scrimmage era, even, when the Cowboys scrimmaged against the Los Angeles Chargers. CeeDee Lamb wasn't able to practice. He had the cut foot issue. We saw some promising things against the Broncos, but that was before we kind of understood totally what Kevontae Turpin offered. Still haven't seen, exactly how the Cowboys are swearing they're going to use Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard simultaneously. So I'm interested. I'm very, very interested. Miguel says, imagine the progress curve that Tyler Smith can reach in his first season, having 3 future Hall of Fame teaching him the game, Martin, Peters, and Smith. Agreed. I'm very, very excited for Tyler Smith. This is a great day in general. It's really just an awesome day for the Cowboys as a whole to get Jason Peters. This had to happen. And to their credit, they did it. Good for them. But it cannot end here. You cannot stop. You cannot say, well, we got Jason Peters. We're going to wait, bring him along slowly. Regular season starts on Sunday. Let's just move. No, you need swing tackle help. You probably still need receiver help, depending on what we see from Tony Pollard. Or like that's where I'm kind of willing to give the Cowboys not the benefit of the doubt, but kind of willing to just wait and see exactly what this offense looks like. I'm so anxious to see Dak Prescott. Again, last season, we all know did not end well offensively. And so, this is a new season, a new opportunity, a new layer of hope. And so I'm anxious to see what happens. And I think we can evaluate a little bit more, at least a week from today, once we've seen this team, for one entire game. The Codger fan says, if they had added or will add a decent swing tackle, they could let Matt Willets go have his surgery. It's a great point. It's a great point from Codger fan. Cowboys say that Matt Willets is going to have a shoulder surgery at some point this year. It does kind of feel like, Codger fan, that's the switch they're waiting to flip, right? That's the roster spot that they're waiting to generate. We'll see if that's, at some point, Jason Peters has to wind up on the 53-man roster. I mean, the Cowboys can ultimately do the cute little roster trick we talked about last week with him 3 times. But at some point, Jason Peters needs to play or needs to be on the 53-man roster. So maybe it is at week 4 that the Cowboys totally decide to IR Matt Willets at that point, promote Jason Peters, and then maybe bring in another swing tackle option. Or, you never know what position you're going to have a need at by the time week 3 or week 4 hits. And so that's something. But I agree with you. I mean, let the guy have his surgery. Like look, if we're all honest with ourselves, Matt Willets is not helping this team in 2022. In all likelihood, I recognize that anything's possible. It's a world of infinite possibilities. But in all likelihood, the Cowboys are carrying 2 tackles right now in Josh Ball and Matt Willets, where they're going to get help from neither of them, right? Like, I mean, I'll ask any of you, do you could any of you imagine a world where Josh Ball or Matt Willets contribute to this team here in 2022? And I say that not to be mean, but just to be frank about it, right? Like, if we're evaluating this roster and getting ready for the regular season to start 6 days from now, can you see is something we talk a lot about on one show I host on our podcast network, the NFC's Mixtape, is can you see a path? Can you see a path towards this happening, whatever this may be? I cannot see a path where Josh Ball comes in and helps you. I cannot see a path where Matt Willets comes in and helps you. I can see a path where Connor McGovern comes in and helps you. I can see a path where Matt Farniok comes in and helps you. But it's so difficult, based on what we've seen to this point, to see a path where either Josh Ball or Matt Willets help you this season in 2022. I like this question from DeLunatic. Says, bigger impact in week 1, Tolbert, Simi, or Turpin? I'm going to leave this question on the screen. Let's see here. Watson Modest says Turpin, although you have to believe they'll kick away from him if possible. I think I'm going to say Turpin. Because, I mean, I think the Cowboys are convinced that they have found this incredible, offensive talent. And again, they have, but they also have had it on their roster in Tony Pollard, right? Like, hey, Cowboys, you want a really fast, shifty, dynamic guy with the football in his hands? Wait till you hear about number 20 on your team. But, so I think that they're going to be hell-bent on involving Turpin to some degree. I just don't know how many opportunities we're going to see from Jalen Tolbert this particular week. I think that I would probably take Tolbert in the long game on the season as a whole. But for this week, for Sunday night against the Buccaneers, I think the answer is Kevontae Turpin. Donnie King says, I agree. Field position matters. Even if he doesn't contribute at all in the special team side of things, I still think I'm going to lean Kevontae Turpin. Again, I'm anxious to see what number Kevontae is going to wear, because this is a weird thing. Russell says, Pollard going to play some wide receiver. That's what we've been told. That's what reports have been, right? Reports have been that he's, the Dallas Morning News reported that Pollard was getting special tutoring as far as his route tree was concerned. I would love that. I tell you what, it's Monday, but if Tony Pollard lines up in the slot on Sunday, 500 points to the Cowboys, even if it's just one play and it's for naught. I mean, even if it's totally insignificant, but if they line Tony Pollard up in the slot, it will at least let us know that they understand that they are literally allowed to do that, because to this point, it has felt like they are unaware of that idea, or at least they forget that idea often. So I would love to see that happen. at a great degree. I mean, you're down right now at the wide receiver position if you're the Cowboys, and that's where I kind of go back to. I'm excited to see this offense. I don't know that I buy that they've been like, keeping secrets and trying not to show anything, but I do think it's worth remembering that Mike McCarthy is a super paranoid head coach. I don't know that anybody remembers this, but the Cowboys first, this was 2 years ago in 2020. And obviously everything was much more limited because the pandemic, situation was much more significant as far as crowds and things like that. But the first Cowboys, the blue and white scrimmage that they had, which the DallasCowboys.com team does such a great job at every year during training camp, during that scrimmage, which is broadcasted on Dallas Cowboys social properties, I don't know if anybody remembers this, Mike McCarthy had all of the jersey numbers removed from all the players. I don't know if anybody remembers this. This really, I'm not making this up. This really happened 2 years ago. Mike McCarthy had all Dak Prescott's 4. Everybody's names were completely and totally removed in the name of, call it secrecy, in the name of, call it paranoia. Mike McCarthy nervous that the Eagles are scouring, DallasCowboys.com for footage on what the Cowboys are going to be doing in the season. So if we're living in this timeline, right? If we understand this to be the head coach of this team, I don't think it's impossible to believe that, that Mike McCarthy has been, intentional about not showing what the Cowboys plan on doing on offense. That's not me saying, oh man, we're about to see an awakening on Sunday night. I'm not going that far, but I do believe that we have seen this kind of behavior before with the Cowboys kind of keeping secrets and keeping things close to the vest, right? Not close to the chest, close to the vest. So I think that if there is, like, if we're going to see some sort of Tony Pollard involvement, oh my goodness, Tony Pollard, all of a sudden, whatever, it will happen Sunday night. If it's not happening Sunday night, then we can just kind of let go of hope forever that it's ever going to happen with this team. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see whether or not Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys really are working on that. But the Lunatic Ads and the official Dallas Cowboys broadcast did not mention specific plays run by players. They can't. I mean, again, Mike McCarthy is different. And look, there's a lot of people who say Eagles are still trash. Great name and cute baby in the profile picture says it's smart IMO. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think it's like a massive advantage or disadvantage or something like that. But yeah, I think do everything you can to give yourself as much of an advantage as you possibly can. Something I have said forever, this is a weird example, but if I'm the Cowboys, right, this week the Cowboys are probably going to be wearing their white jerseys. I would practice in white jerseys all week long. Practice the way you're going to play, right? If you're going to be wearing your Navy jerseys, slap those Navy babies on. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Those are things that, like, I think we all think about that would be cool and fun. So it's kind of cool to see Mike McCarthy carry them out in real life. Eagles are still trash. Thank you for the super chat. Says, how long until Jason Peters gets snaps? Tampa Bay, Cincinnati further down the schedule. I hope it's early and he's in good shape. Thank you again for the super chat. These are the first 6 games of the season for the Cowboys on the screen. I have to imagine it's purely, totally an RJ Ochoa guess, but I would have to imagine it's week 3 against the Giants on Monday Night Football. That's 3 weeks from today. I mean, if 3 weeks is seemingly enough time. And look, I would love to see Jason Peters play on Sunday night against the Buccaneers. We're all resigned to the fact that that's not going to happen. Okay. I don't mean to say or imply or infer that games are not important. And I recognize that the Bengals were in the Super Bowl last year, and we all want to see the Cowboys have success against them. It's a measuring stick game in that capacity. The Bengals game is pretty insignificant. It's an AFC team. If you're going to lose a game, let it be that one. I'm cool. I'm never cool with losing, but I mean, the Giants game is much more important, right? The Giants game is so much more important if you're the Cowboys, which is the game after that. So yeah, I'm totally fine waving the white flag. Like, I won't spoil House of the Dragon, but I'm totally fine waving the white flag on the Cincinnati game, getting Jason Peters, because after that, speaking of AFC, NFC, after that, you have a bit of a run, right? I mean, after that, you start a 4-week run where you play each of your division rivals, 2 of which are on the road and on primetime. That Eagles game is on Sunday Night Football, and you play, we talked about the reigning Super Bowl loser, the reigning Super Bowl champion. I mean, so yeah, I think week 3 makes the most sense when you kind of factor all that in. That's just my own personal read on the situation again. You do not need to risk him coming back too early for the Bengals. It's if you're going to lose a game, that's the one you want to lose. And if you're going to win 4 of these 6, honestly, you probably want it to be the final 4: the Giants, Commanders, Rams, and Eagles. Although the Bucks, obviously, there's a case for them, given that they're an NFC contender as well. But those are just my 2 cents. Cowboys signed Jason Peters on Monday. Finally happened. We did it. I like this comment. Rodney's next chapter says Tyler Smith, the beast. I agree. So that about does it. We'll be having live videos in general all throughout the week on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. We will also have a special live show. We do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central Time. It is a roundtable, lots of Blogging the Boys staffers, so we'll be here for that. In addition to the live show we'll do earlier in the day. It's a regular season week, baby. All right, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got a lot of stuff to sort through. Later this week, I have a PS5 supposedly in transit. All right, it better be at my doorstep this week. And assuming that happens, we will be bringing back the Madden simulations. We did that last year. A lot of you love them. So hopefully this weekend, if everything goes according to plan, we will have our first Madden simulation of the season. If it isn't obvious what it is, we simulate the Cowboys game of the week this week against the Buccaneers in Madden. We throw it up. You can watch it, et cetera, et cetera. So we got that going on. So, yeah. I got a lot of compliments on the shirt. Thank you very much. I mean, who doesn't love Seinfeld? Friends is better, but who doesn't love Seinfeld? All right. So my name is RJ Ochoa. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at RJ Ochoa. That's RJOCHOA. On TikTok at RJ.Ochoa. If you need to send me an email, you can. RJ.Ochoa@SBNation.com is how you do that. You can also leave a comment here, and we'll get to that sooner rather than later. And wish me luck in my fantasy draft in my League of Records tonight. Looking forward to it. So unless you're in my league and you're watching this, then I hate you. And I hope that you mess up a lot. But for the rest of you, I love you. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.